here in the Department of Recreation, Park and Tourism Science at Texas A&M, but I work with the 4-H unit and serve as the current coordinator of the Global Citizenship Program. So this morning, my goal is to share with you opportunities for 4-H members and families for global citizenship through the 4-H program. We are recording this, so I just want to let everyone know that. And the way that I am doing this morning is I will actually have 4 4-H members who have recorded some sessions, and we will attempt to play some YouTube videos. So hopefully that technology will convey as we have planned. We've tested it before, but you know how things are. So please, we'll just get right into it. And the first question is, why are we concerned with our 4-H members having citizenship opportunities on a global scale? Through the global citizenship, one of the first things we want to do is help youth to understand their own cultures, but then also that they have a hands-on learning experience where they can explore other cultures. And through that exploration, that they learn to appreciate the similarities that they have with other persons, but also to celebrate the differences that they might have across these cultural differences. And so that they can learn to recognize them and learn to appreciate that, that we're not all the same, we don't all have the same background, but that each of us have something to contribute. And so through our 4-H Global Citizenship, we just want to raise that awareness, but then also give youth some opportunity for real hands-on experiences that will help them grow individually and help them in their personal growth. And of course, through all of that, the ultimate goal is for them to have leadership and communication skill development, not only development,
but that way it'll show that you're participating in the success there. Yes.
Getting some feedback, and so
it is mute.
If you all can mute your mics, we've got about 70 or so folks on. So anyway, so we definitely are looking for youth to have personal growth and development, as I was saying, but to take that a step further and to actually demonstrate leadership and communication through those activities. Okay, so did you know that 4-H reaches over 7 million young people in more than 50 countries? And I think a lot of times we're just not even aware of that. We think of 4-H, we think of our program here in the US, we think of our program in Texas being the largest in the nation and all of that, but it is a global program. Now, it may not look the same in every country. Membership is not the same as far as the age of youth, and sometimes the curriculum focus is even different. I think of it a lot as when we started 4-H in the United States back in the early 1900s, we did it as a way for adults to adopt new technologies because youth were more willing to, say, oh, okay, I'm willing to try something different, whereas a lot of our farmers and ranchers in those days were like, no, we've always done it this way. So 4-H was brought in as a way to bring about that new technology through youth. Well, in some of these developing countries where 4-H is present, they are where we were in the 1900s. So, they are using 4-H more as a livelihood. Whereas, in our 4-H program today, it's kind of more of an extracurricular. So my point being is that it doesn't look the same in every country, and that's part of the global experience, is to try to understand how 4-H works in other countries, but then also just the whole idea of the cultures in those different countries and how we can be a part of that. So this morning, as I said, I have 4 4-H members who, rather than me telling you about these programs, they are going to share their individual experiences. And so each of these young people will be introduced as we come on. They have recorded their session through a YouTube. And so I'm going to go ahead and go to our first one. We will talk with Caitlin Bessler from Terry County District 2. And Caitlin is going to share with us her experience as part of the state's 4-H International Exchange. And I've asked the youth to just share their personal experience. So they're not going to go into a lot of the detail about the program. So this slide gives you kind of a brief understanding of how the program works. There's two components, the inbound program and the outbound program. Inbound is where we have 4-H families host youth in their home for 4 weeks in mid-July to mid-August. Of course, this year we had to cancel that program, but we've been doing this program since I was an undergrad. So all the way back to the early 80s, Texas 4-H has hosted youth from Japan. We now host youth also from South Korea. And a lot of families are like, I didn't know we did that. And so again, you know, they're oftentimes the hardest part about some of these programs is making sure everyone knows. So I appreciate you all being on today. With the inbound exchange, there is no fee to participate. It's totally voluntary, and so there's no stipend paid to family members, to families either. And you're not asked to do anything special. And Caitlin will talk about that, but you just do your normal summer thing, and you happen to have a young person from Japan or South Korea in your home, and you're learning about their culture and their country, and of course you're sharing your Texas culture and U.S. culture with them. On the flip side, we have this outbound program. And the outbound program is where our Texas 4-H members who are 14 to 18 years of age at the time of travel, which is in the summer, go to one of the partnering countries. And we currently have programs set up where 4-H members could travel to Japan, South Korea, Costa Rica, Taiwan, and Norway. And so 4-H members apply by December 1. So you would apply by December 1, 2020 in order to travel in 2021. It is a 4-week immersive homestay. So the 4-H member is living with a family that's been vetted by the program and all of that. And there is a fee to participate. Of course, you're traveling. So the average for these countries is about $3,000 for the 4-week homestay. Costa Rica is a little less than that. I think our 4-H member from Kaufman County that traveled probably ended up paying closer to about $2,500. But there are some scholarships available. And let me just see if I can get the video going from Caitlin, and give me a second to get that set up.
Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin Bessler from Terry County, and today I'm going to be talking about the 4-H International Exchange Program.
I'm going to pause. Derek, are we good? Can you hear that?
I can. It's a little broken up, but I can still hear it.
Okay. I'm going to let it, load in, and maybe that'll help a little bit with the brokenness. So again, this is Caitlin, and I'm going to give it a few minutes to load up while I have her on the screen. And her experience, you'll see that she's going to share with you both the inbound and the outbound program experience. This is about a 15-minute segment. So
there are two parts to this program, the inbound and the outbound. Inbound is hosting, outbound is traveling. Through the inbound program, you get to host an exchange student for 3 weeks in the summer. You're told beforehand, you don't need to do anything special. This is just for them to learn the day-to-day of an American family. Months leading up to meeting your host sibling, you get to write letters with them. You get to learn them without having met them yet. My host sister told me how she loved to draw and how she loved to play volleyball. I got to tell her how I love to show pigs and how I love to act. She told me how she had a sister, and I told her how I had 2 nieces. So it was really nice. We got to meet each other without actually meeting each other just yet. Also in Japan, it's very common to get a gift when you first meet someone. So it kind of helped us give an idea of what we should get her. So we got her a art kit and a Texas t-shirt, and she got me a pig plushie. So that was really nice. It really helped. Since we were told not to do anything special, we kind of just stayed home and played cards. We played goldfish, we played old maid. I taught her how to play solitaire. We'd swim, we'd color. We were also given a game by the exchange program to help her use her language skills. So there were like words on one and pictures on the other, and we would match them. So that was really fun and really helpful. Going to church is a very big part of our day-to-day. So she would come with us to that. And we don't have our sermons translated, but we did find a book from our synod that had kind of a summary of what we believe and what's going on when we go to church. So we kind of got her that, and she got to read through it, which I think was really helpful to help her understand why we were there and what was actually going on. And so when I told her I showed pigs, and during the summer, not everybody shows pigs, and we didn't have pigs at the time. But my brother was farrowing pigs. So we took her, and she got to see all the piglets that were there, because that's something we normally do. So that was really fun for her. I had to register for classes while she was there, and she was amazed to hear that I was one student out of 13. And she told us how her school was like 4 stories, and she had thousands of students in one class. And I'm one of 13 in my class. So I'm sure I was shocked. So I'm sure she was shocked by the fact that we're only 13, especially since there's like nothing from here to the drive to my school. I can't imagine the shock that was. And we kind of got to talk to each other about our languages. She told me that there were symbols for certain sounds. So kind of like a symbol to the English version of like BA, kind of like stuff like that. She taught me how to say dog and cat, because I have a dog and a cat, stuff like that. And even though we weren't supposed to do anything like special, we did take her to see the play Texas in Caladero Canyon, and she absolutely loved it. She took so many pictures. She was just in awe the whole time. So that was really fun. And we took her to the science spectrum. So she got to see all the exhibits there. And we went with my brother and his family. So that was really fun. She got to play with my nieces. She got to see a bunch of cool stuff. And that was just something really fun that we got to do. And while she was here, she taught me how to do some origami, which was really awesome. And when she went home, we got a call from her mom, and her mom just told us how much she loved it and how much it really meant to her, all the stuff that we did. And she sent us a photo book, which was really sweet. It was all the photos she had taken while she was here. And that was really nice, because when I went to Japan, I found out that she had one. So we kind of have like identical ones and about the experience that we shared together. And it was really nice, like me and her family still talk to each other. So I really did form a bond with her. It really was like having a sister. And I only have a sister-in-law, so it's kind of nice having my own sister for about a month. And the outbound program is where you travel to a different country. So I went to Japan, and I got to stay with Yori's family. I usually don't tell this story because it's not something I always want to remember, but I was so nervous leading up to my going to Japan that my body had a major reaction to it. When I got to Japan, my face had swollen up 2 sizes. I had rashes up and down my arm. I was itching like crazy. And I know you're probably thinking, like, why is she telling this? Like, this doesn't seem very appealing, but it really did help me know that my host family saw me as actual family. My host mom was by me every step of the way. I went to the hospital, and my grandpa for the month was like, I'm driving you, like everything is gonna be okay, everything is fine, like just let me drive you, let me take care of everything. So we went there, and my host mom was by my side the whole way. they're like, okay, we're gonna have to take blood, and I've never taken blood, and my host mom held my hand, and she's like, you're doing great, everything is gonna be fine, it was so reassuring. Like, they were the sweetest people, and they were always so considerate. And like, I know this is completely different, but like during dinner, I don't like tofu. I don't do it very well. And she's like, no, you don't have to eat it. Like, everything is fine. I'll get you something else. So that was really nice. Never feel like you have to keep a secret or do something, because if it makes you feel uncomfortable, they're totally fine if you just leave it alone. That just, yeah. So while I was there, we were told to kind of put something together to tell them about your life. So I made a scrapbook that I got to share with my family. It has pictures of my hometown, places I had been, just some of my friends, and I got to share that with them, which was really awesome. And they were so nice. My host sister, Nanako, she let me have her bed. It was just so sweet. They were the sweetest people ever. And I know what you're thinking. You went to the hospital. How could you have done that without your family? But I got to stay in touch with my family. When Ione came, she didn't have her phone. She wasn't allowed to contact her parents. But on the outbound program, you're allowed to take your phone just so you can give your parents updates or take pictures, stuff like that. You're just supposed to limit your time on it. So even though I went through a lot of stuff when I was in Japan, I could still talk to my mom, tell her what's going on, stuff like that. My host mom and me had a lot of talks. My host sisters went to, one of my host sisters was in college, so she'd be off to college or she was working. And my other host sister, she was going to summer school. So some days it would just be me and my host mom at the house, and we just talk and we do a bunch of crafts. She was an art teacher. So of course, she taught me how to do a lot of origami, which was really fun. And I also got to go to one of the festivals, and they let me wear a yukata. And here's a picture of me and my host sister right there. It's a little uncomfortable, but it was definitely a great experience. It was awesome. We went to a lot of shrines, and we went to see like a big Buddha. We went to a bunch of temples, and they really helped me. They explained very well what they believed, like what I was actually looking at. I wasn't confused the whole time. Like, they're like, this is like the ceremonial washing, or like you put a coin in the little thing and then you pray to the Buddha. So they always kind of kept me updated if I didn't really understand what was going on, which is really awesome. The food was awesome. There was a bunch of stuff that I was a little worried to try at first. Some stuff looked a little challenging, but everything tasted amazing. Like, there was a dish where you beat raw egg and you put the food in the egg and then you eat it. It's delicious, even though it's kind of concerning at first. They do have like their version of 4-H. They have hippo meetings, which is where the whole family can go and they can talk. They do fun games. They have activities. They learn new languages, which it's definitely like a bonding experience. And I had the pleasure to go to a few of those. And it's really awesome because it's not just for the kids. It's for the whole family. So even like I saw grandpas and grandmas there that were doing the games, playing with kids. It was really nice. And the kind of like the counselors, the people that were there, the older people that were there to kind of like keep you updated and like, talk to you and see how you were doing. They told us about reverse cultural shock. And I was like, that's not a thing. Like, I know what my home life is like. I know West Texas. Boringness.
I didn't do anything.
It's so true. When I got back to America, I was amazed that the steering wheels were on the other side. And I was like, oh my gosh, the steering wheels are on the wrong side. And then we were driving home and I was like, look at all this space. Like, this is crazy. I've never seen so much space. And it's like, Caitlin, you've lived here for 16 years of your life. How do you not know that already? And I would see like a church and I'd be like, oh my gosh, there's like a church, like a Christian church. And it's like, I know those are here, but it was just crazy. And in Japan, you stand on like the right side of the escalator so people can walk up the other side. And it was crazy to me because I was like, I can stand on the other side of the elevator. Oh my gosh, like I don't have to stand on this one side. Because like when we were at the airport, everyone was standing on one side of the elevator. And then we were like, guys, we can stand on both sides of the elevator to go up. It was crazy. It was like it doesn't sound like it's real, but it's definitely real. Also, going to Japan, they recommend you bring a journal, which is a great idea because I wrote down everything. I kept all the little pamphlets I got, and it really helps you like reminisce and look back. And it really helps you like telling your people the experience, because when you're there, your host family can explain everything, and you get to write that down without having to remember it right on the spot, like when you're talking to someone. So that was really nice. There was a little language barrier, especially with my host staff. But my host mom, she spoke great English. She wanted to learn it really bad, so she would kind of like ask me some things, and I kind of clarified how to use certain words and stuff like that. She spoke great English, so she kind of helped me talk to my other hosts, like family. She was kind of like the mediator between us. So that was really nice, especially since I didn't know very much. I knew like 4 words, so that was really nice. And she invited an English teacher to come and talk to me. So that was really nice. I got to tell her my whole life story, and she kind of told my host family like, oh yeah, this is what happened in her life. This is what's different where she lives, kind of stuff like that. My host mom was an art teacher, so I got to go to her when she taught classes, and she mostly taught littler kids, and they were the sweetest kids ever. They'd make me little origami, like they'd write me little notes, they'd draw me pictures. It was just so sweet. Everyone there was so nice, from like the smallest little kid to the oldest person. They were all sweet, and I never felt discriminated against. I was never like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. Everybody was welcoming. So definitely don't worry about that. If you do go to another country, it's going to be just fine. Like, your host family wants you there. There's no reason to feel left out or feel awkward because you don't really know what they're talking about. They're going to help you figure it out. If you don't understand what's going on, they're definitely going to help you through it, no matter what it is. Yeah. That's kind of all I had to talk about. Going back to the whole I went to the hospital thing, don't lose your insurance card. You're going to think, I don't need it. I don't need an insurance card. I'm not going to get hurt or anything. But you just never know. You never know. So it's a good thing never to lose that. And I just want to say that these programs are awesome. I feel like I've really grown as a person through them, through hosting and through traveling. I've always been kind of like a hermit. I've never been very great with people, and this really helped me break out of my shell, really helped me be open to new experiences, to meet new people. It's a great program all the way around. And especially if you're like me, this can really help you learn more about yourself. And that's all I have to say. So thank you.
All right, good deal. All right, so Caitlin Bessler, can you imagine going from Terry County, if y'all don't know where that is, that's Brownfield. It's up near Lubbock. So very courageous young lady, went to Japan for 4 weeks, and as she said, you know, probably an experience that changed her life forever. So At the end, if we have questions, we'll try to get to those. But I'm going to go ahead and move to our second program. We have 4 this morning I want to share with you. So our second program is called our 4-H International Study Trip. And again, another program that so very often I hear people say, well, I didn't know you could go to wherever with 4-H. So this program actually started back in 2011 by Charlotte Botting, who was a 4-H specialist in District 7. And she started this program, and we have continued it now to where it's offered statewide. As you can see there, it is for our 4-H members that are 14 to 18 at the time of travel. And travel is always in the summer. It is also open to adult family members. So we very often see not entire families, but we see moms and dads traveling with their senior level 4-H member, or just a mom or just a dad. So it's a great family experience. You can see there the numbers of participants over the years. Typically the tour lasts from 8 to 12 days. You can see that more often it's about a 10-day experience. And in a moment, you're going to hear from Brantley Hoover from Midland County. But you can see the countries that we have visited. And Brantley's going to just share with you his personal experience of being on the Texas 4-H International Study Tour. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get his video started, and then I'm going to pause it.
Texas 4-H. Hi, my name is Darlene from Midland County, District 6. I've been a member of the Midland County 4-H for the past 10 years. And with those 10 years,
Brantley talks really fast. So again, I'm going to give it a couple of seconds to buffer or whatever, and that way hopefully you can hear it. All right, I'm going to make sure the video is turned all the way up. All right, so Brantley.
Participated in the Texas 4-H International Study Trip twice. One time we went to Australia and New Zealand, and the other time we went to Italy and Greece. This is actually an awesome experience. I had an opportunity for me and my parents to see the world and to experience new cultures. It's a relatively cheap trip. It cost less to send a family of 4 overseas than it did to buy 2 plane tickets to go to Australia, and that's pretty cool. Australia and New Zealand was an amazing trip. It was tall green grass over rolling hills, something I'm not used to seeing here in West Texas. And there's tons of agriculture. You know, you're thinking Australia, New Zealand, you're thinking sheep. No, they had lots of cattle as well as sheep. And we got to see many different experiences, along with going to many wildlife reserves and getting to see kangaroos, wallabies, anything along that line. So we actually got to see the endangered kiwi while we were there too. And it's a lot different in Australia and New Zealand. Their cultural practices and as well as their politics are a lot different. Of course, me being me, I wanted to ask about how hunting went. And Australia and New Zealand is, well, Australia is very anti-gun, but New Zealand is actually one of their favorite pastimes is hunting. And so big time game ranch and everything else. Another trivial fact, during the 1900s, they were actually having an overpopulation of deer because there's no natural predators in New Zealand. So they actually had to do a big hunt and kill off on the New Zealand deer population, which was interesting to a hunter and everything else. But the politics and culture were awesome. We also got to see some of the native people do their native dances, and that was also a great time. But in the end, Australia and New Zealand, to me, the picture that stands out is the tall green grass in the rolling hills, along with a bunch of sheep grazing it. But that's also coming from the sheep gate. So Italy and Greece was a different trip. Of course, you get on your plane, you're not going nearly as far as we were when we went to Australia and New Zealand. But it was awesome because we got to see the founding places of democracy in Athens, Greece. A little history on Athens. Athens is named after the Greek god Athena. Athena is the goddess of wisdom and war strategy. Athena gifted to the Athenians the olive tree in their midst. And while we were in Italy and Greece, we got to see lots of olive orchards as well as vineyards of grapes. And that was really cool to see because I've never seen an olive tree, nor have I ever seen a wine vineyard because I live in West Texas. That doesn't exist. And so while we were there, also, we got to see all the monuments. Got to see the Vatican, the Colosseum, and a lot of the Greek and Roman gods, like the monuments to them. We got to see the Greek monument to Poseidon while we were in Greece, and that was really cool because it was a big monument that is white pillars, and all you see after that is blue water, and it was beautiful. While we were there, we got to see a lot of different carvings into the stone because over history, everybody wants to make a mark. What was interesting is we found a lot of World War II people that marked on there, some of which were back to Nazi Germany, and others of which were American Army members. And that was interesting and everything else. But what was so cool to me was going in the Coliseum, seeing where the gladiators fought and where they had animal battles and everything else. It was really cool to see the actual size of it. Now, of course, there was a lot of falling down because over the centuries, the church decided, we need some metal out of that. And, that's how it went. While we were in the Vatican, we got to see all types of paintings and got to learn about Da Vinci and everything else that he was doing in the Vatican. And it taught me a lot because you don't really think about the history of it. And you're thinking, oh, that happened centuries ago. There's no way some of that's still standing, or there's no way that that was really real. And it's actually true. And I enjoyed a lot of it because I'm also a history buff. And while we were in Italy and Greece, we got to eat lots of good food. We got to experience many things that we never got to experience before. And of course, we got to try olive oil, which straight from the vineyard. And I've never done that either. And the political systems were interesting in Italy and Greece. During the time we were there, they were in a recession. 35% of the population was unemployed, and that made it a little bit more interesting while we were there. But we got to learn how they had adapted and how they're actually turning more into vendors and things along that line instead of just doing nothing and sitting around. But it taught me a lot about the world, both my trips, and it taught me about politics around the world because they're very different in the United States than what they are there. And it made me aware of the importance of agriculture and about how important Texas 4-H is. Because while we were there, they're like, where are you from? We're like, Texas. And everybody knows where Texas is. And, 4-H and FFA have really taught me a lot. But these two trips made me more experienced and well-rounded in general. And for now, thank you all for your time. Back to you, Darlene.
All right, thank you, Brantley. All right, so with the international study trip, we are currently have a registration for the 2021 tour. And unfortunately, the way that happens is we announce the tour in the fall, 2 years prior to the actual event. So we opened registration for the 2021 tour in the fall of 2019. And it actually is closer to like almost January. But the tour is currently full. 4-H members can still register, and you would be put on a wait list. There's a $50 registration fee, and that would be the only amount of money that would be charged to you until the point that if someone drops out, you would be contacted, and you could then say, yes, I still want to go, and you would sign up. We coordinate the international study trip with programs such as EF Tours and Explorica that are nationally known and well known that work with schools and communities to offer these type of experiences. So your payments and everything are through EF Tours versus through 4-H Connect. You do not register at all through 4-H Connect. The 2021 tour, as you saw in a couple of slides before, we will be visiting Europe. We'll be going to Krakow, Prague, Berlin, and Budapest. A 10-day tour, and the fee is inclusive of all airfare, all of the accommodations, insurance, entrance to all of the venues that we visit, and breakfast and dinner daily. So since while we're on tour, it is a very fast pace. We are trying to cram as much as we can in the 10 days or however many days we're on tour. And so for lunch each day, we're usually just picking up a sandwich or something along the way. As Brantley said, going to these countries, it is a life-changing experience. It's 4-H members are responsible for themselves. They keep up with their own passports. We have procedures in place to ensure that each day that 4-H members are keeping up with those type of things. But it is a true development type program where young people are getting to actually be responsible for themselves. Even if their parents are traveling with us, the 4-H member still keeps up with their own stuff as part of the learning experience. It's a great opportunity. Yes, you know, this fee looks large, but the reason we do the tour every 2 years is so that individuals can have a procedure in place that they can pay towards the trip. Another thing that the company does is when you set up your registration with them, it allows, if you want to ask grandparents or other individuals to help with funding your tour, there's a procedure in place. It's not like a GoFundMe, but basically, if I wanted to gift you your Christmas present as money towards your tour, then I can go in and just apply that money to your account. So it's, again, you know, it is a significant investment, but we feel that it's something that our 4-H members, families have definitely asked for and will continue to offer. And if you have interest in this and signing up to be on the wait list, and I would tell you our experience is that when people sign up 2 years in advance, very often there are things that come up that cause persons to have to withdraw. And when we have others sitting on the wait list, it's a good thing for both families, because if the young person drops out and we're able to fill that spot, then they get more of their funds back that they put into the registration. So anyway, that is our 4-H International Study Tour. The next one is GLOBE, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. A colleague and I started this program about 7 years ago, and we were looking for an opportunity for 4-H members to have an international experience. But because of that expense that we just talked about, that might not be something that every family can make happen. And so through GLOBE, we have a 2-year program that provides a domestic experience and an opportunity for an international experience. But we also have 4-H members participate in a simulation of several different countries. So it's not, you know, even in the domestic experience, 4-H members are getting to see what it might be like to live in a foreign country. Part of the GLOBE is that there are educational webinars. The program is offered across the state, so we have 4-H members from across the state, so we're doing webinars ahead of time. The poverty simulation, there is a service learning component to it. We want you to take what you've learned and actually apply it in your own community. And then lastly, there is the international experience. So today, Logan Baker from Wilson County District 10 is going to share his GLOBE experience. And so I'll be getting that loaded up here for us.
Howdy, Texas 4-H. My name is Logan Baker. I am a member of the Wilson County 4-H in District 10, and this is my 8th year in 4-H. During my 8 years in 4-H, I've been able to participate in a wide variety of projects and experiences. But one of my absolute favorites is my time with the GLOBE program. And fortunate enough, that is exactly what I get to talk to you about today. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in. So first and foremost, what is GLOBE? GLOBE, which stands for Global Leadership Opportunities Beyond Education, is an immersive, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that strives to teach 4-H members about cultures, global poverty, and what we as 4-Hers can do about it. This program spans over 2 tiers over 2 years, and you must attend Tier 1 to attend Tier 2. First and foremost, Tier 1 is a poverty simulation camp where you will be doing most of your learning about global poverty and what you can do to help. This tier takes place 3 days, and you will leave this tier with your eyes open to the world around you. I know I certainly did. On my first day, it was a lot of icebreakers and get-to-know-you activities where we definitely get to familiarize ourselves with each other and with the course material that we would be going over in the weekend. And the next morning, we participated in a lot of activities that ranged from dramatic skits to even being led through a maze blindfolded that all helped drive home the themes and the lessons we were learning about global poverty. And that helped it stick with us so that we could share it once we left. After that, we were led into the global village where we would be spending the night in our poverty simulation. And in this village, they had a poverty level house from all over the world, Guatemala to China and from the Appalachian Mountains to Africa. And we came back and we were sorted into our groups that would be spending the night. I got sorted into the urban slums, and then they gave us all of our supplies, which only was about a pot, a spoon, a couple bowls, and a sandwich bag full of rice for the 8 of us to eat that night. Also, they threw in some wild cards by giving us a baby to take care of, which was just a water balloon, but we still had to take care of it. And they told us we'd have to barter using our resources for firewood, for water, and for milk for our baby. And finally, they made one of our members sick, in the sense that we would either have to give up resources or they wouldn't be able to function as a member in our group. After that, we got put into the global village, and after some arguments and some fighting, we ultimately came together and put all of our resources together as a group to make a potluck sort of dinner for all of us. And since I was the one with the most cooking experience, I was designated as the slum chef, and we wound up making boiled rice with boiled carrots and onions. And trust me, it's as gross as it sounds. The next morning, the slums had to make breakfast again, and it was oatmeal, which was also just as gross. And we each had to do our own chores. Some of it was dishwashing, some of it was gardening, others had to feed the animals. And then finally we concluded and we packed up and came home. But before we could go to Tier 2, there were some requirements we had to meet in between to be able to go to Tier 2. And those include organizing a community service project and giving 2 presentations about what we learned to various groups, such as the youth group or a 4-H club. And once we did that, we got to attend Tier 2, and this is my absolute favorite part. Tier 2 took place in the beautiful country of Costa Rica, and this is where you got your first-hand experience with global culture. This tier was substantially longer than Tier 1, and it lasted about a week. And it took place at the Soltis Center in Costa Rica, which is a Texas A&M research facility that was established in Costa Rica in 2009. So while we were thousands of miles away from Texas, we had a tiny little slice of Texas there in Costa Rica. We participated in a wide variety of activities in Costa Rica that included hiking in the rainforest to go see some waterfalls during the day, and then hiking that rainforest at night to see some animals and the frogs that were in the forest around us. In the following days, we even did a lot of agritourism activities that included visiting dairies to make cheese. We visited a wildlife rescue. We even got to tour a chocolate and coffee plantation and a farm that was established strictly for the Costa Rican farmers to learn about sustainable agriculture. But we also did get to do a lot of the fun touristy activities that included ziplining and visiting the Schlitterbahn of Costa Rica, which was called the Baldy Hot Springs, which was a water park full of hot springs that were heated by a nearby volcano. But what was really cool about Tier 2 was how immersed we got into the culture of Costa Rica. Within our first day, we got to walk down to a town and make tacos with some of the people of the town and see their day-to-day lives. And a few days later, we had a cultural dance presentation by some of the people there in Costa Rica. And, we as 4-H members have our dances, so do the people of Costa Rica, except theirs are a little bit more intricate than our line dances. But they were still really, really cool. But it wasn't all just fun and games. We did have to work a little bit. When we walked down and visited the town, the guys split off and we leveled out some dirt so that the town could lay a foundation for a new school building. And the girls beautified the existing school grounds by painting some rocks. And then when we went to the farm, we got to do some light gardening. We got to pick weeds and do some other activities that the farm needed us to do while we were there. So now that you know what to expect, I want to talk about why you should participate. The GLOBE program is absolutely life-changing, and I stand by my word whenever I say that everyone that has gone through this program has left change in some sort of fashion. And it's definitely eye-opening to the world around us. We as Americans can tend to get stuck in our own little bubble of our country and not branch out and see the world around us like we should. But through the GLOBE program, I was able to branch out of this bubble and experience the world around me. And guys, when I tell you that the world is an amazing place, it is. And there's so many stories, so much culture that is just waiting for you to explore it. And also, it's an experience like no other. How many 4-H members can say that they've been in a poverty simulation and then went to Costa Rica with the 4-H program? Not very many people. And that opportunity is only available through the GLOBE program. And we as 4-H members and families know how well the 4-H is accustomed to making memories and friends, but the GLOBE program takes it one step further. Through the experiences and the situations that were put in both the camp and in Costa Rica, our memories are so much richer. For instance, I'll never forget walking through the Costa Rican rainforest and stopping to eat termites on the way to the waterfall. And the friends you make are so, your bonds with them are so much better because of the fact that you're so far away from home and you're in an experience in a world that you had never been before. And finally, I believe you should participate in this program because of how much it has done for me. Before the GLOBE program, I honestly wasn't that, aware of all the opportunities in this program. But after I took part in the GLOBE program, my eyes were open to the world of opportunity that is available to 4-H members in terms of global citizenship. I was giving presentations to clubs and to community members and even senators, and I was even able to attend the Global Citizenship Camp, which Natalie McDaniel will be talking about later. Before I did this, I had no idea that this was even possible for a 4-H member. But thanks to the GLOBE program, my eyes were open and my life was changed. So in conclusion, GLOBE is an amazing opportunity that pushes you out of your comfort zone so that you can learn and experience the world around you. And I believe that you will leave this organization and this program because of GLOBE a better 4-H member and an even better citizen of the world. I thank you for your time and attention, and I will be available at the end of the segment for any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right. I'm not going to comment a whole lot except to say that just for the sake of time. So we are in our third tier, we're in our third cohort group. So in 2020, currently, we have a group of 38 youth that are in the tier 1. They were scheduled to go to their poverty simulation next week, but as you can imagine, it's going to be a virtual experience now. But they will stay on track with doing their service projects this summer and then traveling to Costa Rica in 2021. So for those of you that are going, how can I do GLOBE? Know that in the fall of 2021, we will open registration for the 21-22 cohort. As Logan mentioned, it's a 2-year program. So we offer it every 2 years, and it's for youth in grades 7 through 11. Our final presentation is on the Global Leadership Camp, which is a biannual experience, was held in South Korea in 2019, and is scheduled for Tanzania, Africa in 2021. So the young lady that's going to speak next, Natalie McDaniel, when we traveled to South Korea in 2019, the program was open for youth that were 16 and older. They have since modified the program to say now that for future times, it will be limited to collegiate 4-H members. Part of that change of age is because of the various cultural differences among countries. And so we just learned that some of the other countries experience things differently than the United States, and we felt like that it's better to reserve these experiences for collegiate level 4-H members or alumni. So let Natalie share her experience with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie McDaniel. I'm a junior 4-H'er from Darlene County District 1, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all my experience on a global citizenship camp. So let's get started. First, I would like to tell you all some history behind International 4-H, since it is pretty unheard of. Internationally, 4-H is active in over 70 different countries, and they offer a lot of various camps and programs all at the same time. They hosted a Global 4-H Summit in 2014, which was their first one, and that was hosted by Korea 4-H Association in South Korea. And then again in 2017, they hosted the second Global 4-H Summit in Canada. The camp that I attended was the first global leadership camp in South Korea, which was this past September 2019. At the same time, they also had one of their Asia IFI conferences going, which was the International Foreign Youth Exchange Program. In each of these camps and programs, they offer future leaders more opportunities to broaden their eyes, to interact with others, to build up leadership skills and a global mindset altogether. So jumping right into my experience with the Global 4-H Leadership Camp, they had a theme and goal or objective for us. Their theme was Global Youth, Challenge the Future, Step Forward, and Move Together. Overall, after attending this camp, I see that they did a very good job on completing all that, because each day we were challenged to make new friendships, connections, try new things, and to challenge ourselves as leaders. Their goal was to bring together 200 youth from over 30 different countries from around the world for a week of learning, culture exchange, and fellowship. They aim to raise social awareness on various global issues, share ideas and experiences, while nurturing youth leaders for the future. So an overview of some things that we did at this camp. It was a total of 6 days, and that doesn't include travel getting to this island in South Korea and coming back home. But they invited over 70 different countries and 10 people from each country, and that number would change based on if that country had delegates or not that were wanting to attend. The official language of this camp was English, although they did have translators at the time that would translate things either from English to Korean, which was one of the other languages spoken there, or back from Korean to English. Some daily activities that we got to participate in, they assisted in our friendship building, in challenging ourselves, in growth, and in learning all around. Some other activities that we got to participate in was a youth leadership talk concert, a cultural show, a Global 4-H convention, a 4-H international seminar, and we got to go visit some agricultural institutions, which were really exciting. And I'll talk more about all of these later on in this presentation. So first, I would like to address all the exposure to the culture that happened during this camp. No matter what day it was or where we were, new things were constantly being learned all the time. And so when we first got there, we were staying at the Kensington Resort, which is where my mouse is at right now. This was a very nice hotel, and in this hotel and in our rooms, we got to see how the traditional bedding works. So in America, the beds might be a foot or so off the ground, but in South Korea, they were actually very low, just a few inches off the ground. So that was just for the bed. But then they also had traditional mats, which I don't have a picture of on this presentation. But you can think of it as just a very thick comforter on the ground, and that's what they would sleep on. And some people like to sleep that way over a bed, but it was interesting to see that it was different like that. Also, the very bottom picture was the view outside our hotel window, which was a very lovely view to wake up to every morning. And overall, just the different atmosphere of being on this island was a neat experience for me, someone who's from the Panhandle, and it's not very blue and green. For some more exposure to culture, the foods that we had every day, there was always constantly new food and new fruits, dishes, and styles of meals that we were being exposed to. And some of the things that I really enjoyed was trying new things, because I would never want to just look at something and say, I don't want to try that, but I always gave everything at least one shot, and I learned that I really enjoyed the different styles of food and new fruits and dishes that they had to offer. Also, their traditional placematting would mostly be chopsticks and either a knife or a spoon next to your plate, but since they had people who weren't used to using chopsticks, they also had forks. So comparing those two, chopsticks versus a fork, there's two different styles of culture right there, and it was neat to learn how to use chopsticks for a week. So that was something I really enjoyed too. So at our camp, we got to participate at a culture show. All the pictures on this board are from the people who participated in it from the US, and we did more of a Western line dancing type theme where we would dance to Copperhead Road or Footloose. And we had a really good time doing that and showing our part of how we dance in America and how we like to dance in Texas. And that was really cool for other people at the camp to observe, as well as when other countries were presenting their culture show. We really found it fascinating how much it was different between countries and how the style of music and the way people were dressed, how that changed. It was very eye-opening to just how different and how amazing our differences are. So each country at this culture show put together a performance to give the audience a perspective of their culture, which was probably one of my favorite parts of the camp. So also at this camp, we created new friendships and networks. Like I said, that 4-H is active in over 70 different countries. I have a little chart here of all the different continents and countries involved in 4-H, and some of those countries were even there. And then on the right side of my PowerPoint, I have some of the new friends that I made during this camp. Some were from Sweden and Thailand and the Philippines, and so much more. But overall, I enjoyed meeting people and creating new friendships with those from around the world. I met people from Australia and Jamaica. During this camp, we all became really good friends with each other. And of course, language was a barrier with some new friendships that I was making, but we actually worked on an activity with communicating. And everyone knows the game telephone, where one person at the start of the line gets a phrase or a sentence, and then they have to pass it down to the next person, and so on and so on. So it gets to the end and you hope it's the same, but of course you do that here at home in Texas, and it's fairly easy and everyone does it pretty good, and you all sharpen your communication skills just a little bit. But when there's that language barrier and you're talking with people who may not understand English or may not understand Korean all the way, that it's a little more challenging. So you really have to slow down on the way you're talking, or explain things differently or in different ways, so that those who don't understand the language you're speaking might be able to understand you through either verbal or nonverbal actions. And that was really interesting to do. At this camp, we also participated in a lot of outdoor activities. On the left of my PowerPoint, you'll see some paddle boards and a picture of the ocean. And this was one of the outdoor activities that we could choose from. We had 3 choices. We could go horseback riding, we could go paddle boarding, or we could go biking. And from someone who's from the Panhandle and isn't around a lot of water, I of course chose paddle boarding. And this was very fun because after we had created all these friendships the first few days and met people, we then joined up in our groups and got to go paddleboarding. So it was a fun activity to do where we were all able to be active, outdoor, just hanging out as friends. And during this time, we got to talk with each other about 4-H and about the different projects that we were involved in. And it was very eye-opening to see how much 4-H programs and projects differ between countries.
I hate to cut Natalie off, but Callie's letting me know that our time has expired. The Global Leadership Camp, again, happens every 2 years. So if any of you have want to know more information about global citizenship, then you can contact me at that address there, or you can check on the Texas 4-H website under Global Citizenship. Thank you all for attending, and I will turn off so that the next program can begin.
Thank you, Darlene.